Hello, hello, and welcome to Three Rooms Press. This is the fourth in a series of interviews we've had this month with poets for National Poetry Month. So my name is Kat Georges, and I am the co-director of Three Rooms Press. Today, I'm so excited because we will be interviewing the one, the only, the magnificent George Wallace. There he is. This is his book, Poppin Johnny, which we published way back in, I believe, 2012, 2009. And here is another book we published, Eos, Abductor of Men, also by George Wallace. This one is in both Greek and English. So it is poems of George that were written in English and then translated to Greek. This bilingual version is, and as well as Poppin Johnny, are both available wherever you shop for books. So we're waiting for George here. I'm sure he'll be with us in a moment. And while we're waiting, I just wanted to let you know that I just love the writing of George Wallace. This man, he's published 40 books. He has a new book coming out. He was named in the top 10 poets in the world in the People's Daily of China. He's been to participated in poetry readings in Costa Rica. He's always selling out readings when he speaks in the UK, also Macedonia, and also Greece, where he's going to be traveling to next month. A band there has translated his poems into lyrics for their songs. So now we're seeing that George Wallace has joined the meeting and he'll request to join us. And here he is. He'll be on shortly. So here we go. I can't wait. I'm so excited to see George Wallace, who will be coming soon. He should be here any second. There he is. Here is George Wallace. Hello,
Pretty
hello.
sure I'm here. How you doing?
Great. So nice to see you. So,
Good.
this is going to be our usual quick Instagram live interview, but I'm so excited that we could do it with you because it just means so much to me. You've been one of my favorite poets, living or dead, for so long, and I'm just so thrilled to be
Sometimes
able
both. Sometimes living and dead.
Right. Well, I'll start with an easy question, okay? What is poetry
But
to you?
what is poetry to me? Poetry is the bus that always arrives at the bus stop. When you're waiting and you're afraid you're not going to get picked up and make it, poetry comes along and picks me up.
Hey, that's wonderful. You've been writing poetry for a long time. How many books do you have now? 40?
40. Yep. 40.
Wow, that is fantastic. I'm so glad that we've been able to be a part of 2 of those. Not even 10%. Or like 5%. 5% of your books were published by Three Rooms Press. That's so exciting.
One of the most critical ones, one of the linchpin books of poems of mine in 2009, Poppin Johnny, perhaps really the one that launched me from being just a guy, a kid doing something, to being a serious, recognized poet out in the world.
Wow, that's so exciting. I love every poem in here. I just wanted to read a little bit from Our Planet, A Sacrificial Love. Sun fell in love with darkness, and the dark fell in love right back. But being opposites, they could not touch each other. Therefore, Earth was born so the 2 of them could have a place to meet. What a creation theory. This is so beautiful.
That's great. I have no recollection of having written that poem. That's great.
I know. Do you get into a trance when you write?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, your poems really seem to flow from like a river, So, what is your writing process? I mean, you're writing all the time, it seems like. So, what do you do? Do you write on inspiration? Do you write while you're driving? Do you speak into a microphone and transcribe it later? What do you do?
Yeah, it can be all of those. I mean, the cell phone works really well because you can open up an email on your cell phone while you're driving, and you could talk into the email, and then when you're ready to press save, and then we open that email when some new ideas come up, and add to it and add to it. So it's an accretion. That's one very good strategy,
Wow.
for gathering the material,
Yeah.
brainstorming the
Yeah.
material. But pretty much, it's having as full a palette as possible, the palette to take material from, and getting it out, onto a surface so that you can then, pick and choose, do some bricolage work, and choose, find out what's falling together into something that has meaning.
Right. Well, meaning is something. What to you is the meaning aspect of a poem? Do you find that the poem is a piece of art within itself? Does it reflect the world around you? Does it do both, or what?
The poem is the one guy in the 7-Eleven with a gun.
All right. Yeah. Showing or not, right?
Yeah.
Whoa. All
Does that
right.
make sense? That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Whoa. Yeah, I'm gonna think on that. Man. Okay, while I'm thinking on that, okay, so People's Daily pictured as one of the 10 top living contemporary poets in the world. How did that happen? The
Who did?
People's Daily of China?
Oh, yeah. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it totally blew
I
my
mean,
mind.
I guess they haven't been around much. They haven't been around. What can I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in China.
How
But
did they
no,
find out about you?
it was a great honor. I mean, there's it's all about networking. If one person meets you, likes your work, recommends you to somebody else, and through a very long process of networking, my name got out there in China with some key people, you know, movers and shakers. And, it's just like, there's somebody who works in the New York Times, right?
Right.
There's somebody who works in People's Daily, and it's just a human being who happens to, to make some personal subjective decisions and
Yeah.
choices. And somehow that happened for me. I mean, I have no
Yeah.
clue why it wasn't you. It could have
Right.
been you just as easily as me.
Right. But you do seem, since the pandemic started, you seem to have really been taking advantage of the fact that there's been a lot of international virtual readings. Is that true? You've been participating a lot, and that's spread your name out more over the world, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was really facilitated. The pandemic, on it didn't set me back. I mean, before the pandemic, I was out around the world doing various
Yeah.
things, but you can only do it one country at a time and one weekend at a time, or one 2-week episode at a time. When the setback of the pandemic turned into the opportunity.
Hmm.
So I hate to say that the whatever that saying is about, turning a challenge into opportunity, but that's what it was. And the opportunity presented itself. I didn't manufacture the Zoom. I didn't, but I took advantage of it. I realized the potential of it, and there was other people doing the same thing.
Right.
So,
Right.
I was at the cusp, at the cutting edge of that. So,
Yeah.
and that's part of where, when you're at the cutting edge of things, you get recognized before other people.
Yeah.
It's
You
like,
just would a lot of people describe you as a beat poet, but I think that's a little limiting. What do you think?
well, I think that the bop prosody, the idea of spontaneous flow,
Yeah.
poetics, and seeking alternative culture, alternative countercultural understanding of the world and expression of that understanding is not just beat poetry, but the beat poetry is that. So yeah, I'm that.
Yeah.
I am with both of those things.
Yeah. So what about Costa Rica? You went down there to a reading not last year, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was kind of cool. I mean, Central America, and I knew very little about the area, but the Nuevo York magazine here in New York City um, picked up on my work and said, "You want to come down and do a thing?" And it was opportunity, because I could only travel Januaries and, because it's between semesters and in the summer. So there was a festival there in that January, and I went down and drove up to Turrialba, which is beautiful. Costa Rica is fabulous.
Wow.
Terrific people there.
Wow, that's lovely.
Yeah.
And you're going next month to Greece. Is somebody, a band translated your work into poetry? Is that true?
Yeah.
Or your
Uh,
poetry
turned,
into lyrics?
no, it turned them into songs.
Wow.
It's kind of a psychedelic rock band uh, in Athens, Greece. Philip Dragoumis,
Hmm.
who I'd done some work with in previous visits
Hmm.
to Greece, and he took an interest in my work. And it's not uncommon in Greece for people to set poetry to music. Some of the great Greek poets over the past 100 years have been set to music in Greek. Whether it was Elitis or Ambirikos or other people like that, Nikos Katsos, and so it's not unprecedented. Well, he took an interest in my poems, and he's got good facility and command of English,
Okay.
and they threw together this album, which they dropped on DistroKids, or I forget which of the streaming services it came out on,
Are, the,
and
are
it's
the
a very
lyrics
cool
in
album.
English or did they translate them?
Yeah, no, they took my poems and I said, hey, do whatever you want to, mess with them, the cadence, or take out words, add words, take out a lot of phrases or lines to make it work as lyrics, and they actually turned them into songs. So unlike
Yeah.
spoken word with musical background, they created melodies with those with
Right.
adapted poems.
Right.
You got to
Well,
hear
your
it.
poems, yeah, your poems are very musical. Anyway, do you have one that you could read from Poppin Johnny?
Yeah, yeah. How many are you going to want?
Two.
Two. Okay, yeah. So I know what to pick.
I
All right,
won't
I'm
have
gonna
the
pick two.
cricket sounding.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna get stuck on the BQE,
Okay.
which which a lot of my friends from Long Island, Russ Green and others, like, because they used to get stuck on the BQE themselves, the big Brooklyn Queens Expressway,
Yeah.
um, coming into New York City to perform at various gigs,
Right.
and it works off the idea of the 50s era poets, Frank O'Hara, Jimmy Schuyler, and other people like that. Mentions them a lot, and being inspired by or affiliating or associated with them.
Right.
Stuck on the BQE thinking about Jimmy Schuyler.
Right.
Sunday afternoon, 1:30 p.m. Sunday afternoon, 1:30 p.m. I'm unaccountably crawling southbound on the BQE toward the Williamsburg Bridge. Instead of flying along the highway like a man ought to do, a man ought to fly along a highway. But if he's driving anywhere else in America, he would be. But here in America, we're in the rooftops, we're in the pothole capital of the world. Driving over the rooftops of Brooklyn, stuck in traffic, even though it's a Sunday afternoon in winter, the economy's in shambles again. The big rumbling engine of American commerce has run out of gas. It's been abandoned on the side of the highway. America's sitting on cinder blocks on the side of the road like it used to do. Like, you remember one of those old cars back in the day, abandoned on the Cross Bronx Expressway by some sucker from the suburbs, and the local boys are just waiting. They've already pounced on it and stripped it down. And I'm thinking, how, if this was back in the day, I'd be living in New York City with art critics and abstract expressionists, and I wouldn't be pounced upon and pouncing on abandoned cars like the boys in the South Bronx. I mean, if it was 1950 something, I'd be drinking beer at the Cedar Tavern with Jackson Pollock and Franz Klein. I'd be working at the front desk at Momo with Frank O'Hara. I'd be cruising the streets with crazy Chester Cowman, staying with people in Southampton, making friends with W.H. Auden and Harold Norse and Fairfield Porter. I would be doing it like Jimmy Schuyler did it. I would be back in the day. And the sexy trucks would be rolling up Second Avenue for me like they did for Schuyler in Schuyler's poem February, just rolling away into the sky like all the hot young lovers that rolled out of Jimmy Schuyler's life. But I'm not Jimmy. I'm not Jimmy. I'm not Jimmy Schuyler. I'm not living back in the day. I'm living in the here and now, even though it feels like February, the way Jimmy described it in his poem. It's a very good poem, February, with its tulips trying to open up and its women juggling babies in windows with their tight little eyes. Nope, it's not February. It's March 15th, and this will date the poem. I'll be 60 years old next week. 60 years old. By the time Jimmy Schuyler was this old, most of the important people in his life were dead. Buddy, Frank, Jimmy LeSueur. He had diabetes. The American Academy of Poets had elected him fellow. They were handing that boy $10,000 a year. $10,000 a year, if you can believe that. All I ever get from those bastards is notices that I ought to be a member, or else I was a member. But now my membership's about to expire, and I'm wondering, where are all the important and dead people in my life? What if I could get $10,000 a year from the Academy instead of paying them $35 to be a member? How can a man even see the UN building the way Jimmy Schuyler did in that poem? Because from where I'm sitting there in the BQE, that building looks like a big old bad box of American cereal. Not a green wave in a violet sea, which is a perfectly good image. But, I mean, what was old Jimmy thinking about when he said that about the UN building? What angle was he looking at the UN building from? What was this? Maybe it was the sun, or maybe it was smog in his eyes. What was he even trying to say? I mean, look at that. It's a terrible building. UN building? It's a terrible building. I suppose there's some angle that doesn't look like an IBM card. Or a big old box of blind American Kellogg's cornflakes, maybe from some angle it looks like a big damn keyhole. That if you find the right key and you jiggle it just right, you might open the door to eternity. I think, well, they don't leave holes in the New York City sky like they used to, do they? They don't leave holes in the sky. They just fill them up. They just fill them up with something new. Then again, maybe Jimmy Schuyler was onto something after all. Maybe he could see something I can't see. Maybe there would be a big hole in the New York City skyline if you took the UN building away. Like death put a hole in the sky for the day that it took Jimmy Schuyler away from the rest of us. Because after all, a lot of people I know miss Jimmy Schuyler. A lot of them miss him. They miss him a lot. They talk about him all the time. And even though I never knew the man, I never knew him, I know them. So sometimes I talk about him too. Jimmy Schuyler.
All right. Fantastic. Oh man, that's a beauty. You know, going from being stuck in traffic to be able to make some kind of, you know, jump and leap out of this eternal hellhole into the ether is beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. Oh,
Yeah,
right.
Thank you.
Well, how about tell us a little bit about your next book. You have a book coming out right now, right?
Oh yeah. I've got actually, it's right here, Resurrection Song. This
Right.
it's reverse.
Yeah.
So there it is. The Resurrection Song is Goodness Now Press, very fine press. They're also Roadside Press, and they're doing the second book of mine. They did the last one, Blowing Through Secaucus, which we had a lot of fun
Great.
with.
Yeah.
This one's close to 250 pages or something like that. And it's all recent work. You know, I post all my work on Facebook, so everybody's seen every one of these poems at some point in Facebook. And there's really, I'm doing my best work now, so there's fabulous work in there, fabulous poems in there.
Fantastic.
You know,
And is that
which
available
I'm really
now
excited
or soon?
June 3rd. You know, this is the proof copy. So it's due to come out June 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to drop a song like I did with Blowing Through Secaucus. We dropped a whole album of music with that. We're dropping a song with this kind of as a teaser for it. We're going to have readings all around New York City and a little bit beyond as well over the summer.
That's wonderful. And congratulations on your 40th book. That's just amazing. Well, how about you close us out with reading another poem from Poppin Johnny or one from your new book, whichever you prefer, and we'll go do that.
A shorter one, or was that length good?
What, medium length is fine. That's fine. That length's fine.
All right. Redhead of My Sudden Acquaintance. It's one of my favorite reading poems. It's kind of like based on Neil Cassidy, the way Neil Cassidy. A lot of the stuff is based on the way Neil Cassidy used to talk. You know, he'd be juggling and juggling things, you know, while on stage and doing his 1950s stream of consciousness rap. So this is his kind of rap. And I first heard this actually. I came up with this up in New Hampshire, in Errol Ruddler's house. He played some Neil Cassidy on his loudspeaker in that barn that he lived in up in New Hampshire.
Right.
And it was like we were drinking bourbon and listening to Neil Cassidy rapping in this big barn in New Hampshire, and I got into the rhythm of it. And then when I fell asleep, I woke up and I wrote this poem. It's called "This Redhead of My Sudden Acquaintance." I'm ready for that. That's on page 27. Right? This redhead of my sudden acquaintance. Well, I mean to say the road was straighter than this one. I was driving unreasonably fast, a 57 Chrysler Imperial, boys. You remember those? No, of course you don't. But oh man, well, you know, or maybe you know, cherry red, souped up electric windows, electric top, chrome grille, big damn fins, but no brakes, no brakes. You had to scuffle your feet along. You had to scuffle and it would take you 3 miles to roll if you wanted to come to a stop. The rocks would be flying everywhere, and you might need a new pair of shoes by the time you even stop. Anyhow, I couldn't afford tires, as my situation, concisely speaking, was dire, if not to say extreme. But being that it was, I could, of course, have gone around the corner, that is to say, steal something secondhand. But at the time I was with this redhead of my sudden acquaintance, well-positioned in town, she with a well-oiled boyfriend, me with plenty of time on my hands. No, he was not in tow at that particular morning. In fact, she had been sitting in his booth in the diner for a very long time, by the appearance of things, coffee cups, ashtrays full of nervous cigarettes, and she was putting hairpins into and out of her hair. Well, I struck up a conversation. Got to be this, got to be that, and everything was going along pretty damn fine. When I looked outside, as sure as we're sitting here today, you and me, it would stopped raining. Morning was nearly over. The cat was out of the bag, and zippity-doo, we was off, both of us, shot out of the barrel. And that was that, no doubt about it. We was traveling 10 times faster than what was legal. I'm talking 35 plus 35 plus 35 and then some. And it was, yeah, man, I mean, no, not that road outside of Fort Collins. I prefer at this late stage to say it was one of them back east, headed for her hometown in Kansas. She was a school teacher of good repute, you would say. She not a cop car to be seen. The breeze was everything. Eastern Colorado was a sight to see. She was smart and with that orange sky. No, not like the red in her hair. It was a coppery sort of red, like Lincoln's pipe on a new shiny penny. And she gave me the prettiest smile just then. The prettiest smile. You could just feel it. That car wanted to fly. We rolled down the window. We beat to the beat on the dash. Oh, my, she said. Oh, my, she said. My right toenail. Oh, my, I do believe it has just had an emotion.
All right. That was fantastic. Oh, my God. So, you want to try something here? I was thinking maybe we could read the last poem of the book together. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a good idea. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, because I called the thing Poppin Johnny, and I didn't even know what a Poppin Johnny was. I don't know if you know this, Kat.
It's a tractor, right?
Yeah, it's a tractor. I didn't know that. Imagine it was like a little airplane, like a biplane up in the sky, going put, through the sky.
Right.
And when you got this manuscript, you said you looked it up. And it turns out it's one of these tractors that had a particular kind of gear that made that sound.
Right.
So that makes it a real true Americana poem. So we're going to try reading this together?
Yes. So this one is called Poppin Johnny.
Here.
Okay. You ready?
So how do you want to do this? Alternate or what?
Alternate lines. How about that? Okay.
All right, I'll tell you. Go. So you start.
I'll start.
Yeah.
I am on my way.
I shoot through clouds.
They are better than your Jesus.
Heaven ain't just any heaven.
It's my heaven, and yes.
I over apartments.
Spit on your factories.
They're irrelevant to me.
I live up here, above the wheat fields.
In the pine top mountains.
I sparkle like the 4th of July.
I am not like you.
With your indecent necklaces.
I'm not like the others.
Their home improvement lives.
I fly the straight beeline.
I do the big loop-de-loop.
That's right. I take to the sky.
Call me Poppin Johnny.
I got wings like prairies.
I got tail like barracuda.
If you want to see me,
go look up at the air.
If you want to see me,
go look where the birds go.
And the sweet angels migrating.
I have got no school books.
No home by 7.
And no particular woman
who calls herself mine.
Heaven is not my enemy.
Stars do not undo my eyes.
As for this blasted earth of yours,
it will never drag me down.
Yes, I love that. What
That's
a
good.
great one.
That's
oh,
good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, and have a great trip to Greece, and dig the grooves of that psych rock band doing your songs, your poems as songs. It's going to be beautiful. Anything else we need to know?
Just keep the home fires burning. I'll be home back in June, and we'll start partying with this book. In New York City in
I
June.
Can't wait. Thanks, George Wallace, our final reader for National Poetry Month 2023. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks.